watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Can a survey take place inside the Gyanvapi Mosque? A court in Varanasi will take a decision on that tomorrow, but ahead of the verdict, here is mounting proof of how there is definitely no smoke without fire. That there is Hindu character to remains that exist within the mosque complex. Images from within the mosque complex that show idols of Hindu deities, lotus flowers, bells, even a shivling and a Nandi bull facing the wall of the mosque. However, there is an attempt by a certain section to turn a blind eye to mounting evidence of Hindu nature of remnants within the complex. Here are 10 pieces of evidence that show that there could have been a Hindu temple in the area. Images of Hindu deities that were present on the wall of the Gyanvapi Mosque. A shivling that is also present inside the Gyanvapi complex. A Nandi bull facing the wall of the mosque. And remember, in Hindu practices, the Nandi is always facing the shivling, not away from it. A Ram Katha Mandap that is mentioned in documents as well. Architecture that is reminiscent of North Indian Hindu temples. Images of gongs and bells on the wall of the mosque, and replete, the complex is replete with Hindu motifs like the sun god as well as the lotus flower. In addition to that, we've also shown you maps dating back to the 1800s that speak of how the mosque is built on land that belongs to the temple. But despite that, not only physically has a survey team been blocked, but repeated attempts have been made in court to raise issues only in order to delay the impending survey of the mosque complex. In fact, so much so that even the surveyor who was appointed by the court was eventually accused of bias. And now, that very man, the surveyor who's been tasked with the responsibility of getting to the bottom of the truth, the temple truth, spoke exclusively to Times Now.
न्यायालय से यही कहा है कि हमने अभी तक जो भी कार्रवाई किया है वो निष्पक्ष ढंग से सद्भावपूर्वक और ईमानदारी से किया है। इसमें ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं किया जिससे किसी भी पक्ष को कोई कष्ट हो। फिर भी आप भारत स्वतंत्र है, लोग स्वतंत्र है, विचार रखने के भाव भी स्वतंत्र है। मैं उनके किसी भी शब्द को रिवाइंड नहीं करूँगा। सभी लोग जान रहे हैं उन्होंने क्या आरोप लगाया, इसको बताना मैं उचित भी नहीं समझता। और आरोप तो किसी के भी लगाया जा सकता है। न्यायालय देखेगी कि जो है वो सही है कि गलत। अभी जब हमारे में फैसला हो जाएगा, इसके बाद हम इसमें देखते हैं न्यायालय को हमको क्या करना है। मैंने अभी तक कुछ भी न्यायालय में सबमिट नहीं किया।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, is there an attempt to try and delay the inevitable? Joining us on the debate, R.P. Singh, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Vinod Bansal, National Spokesperson of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Dr. Anurag Bhadoria, National Spokesperson of Samajwadi Party, Mujeeb Ur Rehman, Advocate Tehseen Poonawalla, political analyst, to whom I'm going to ask the first question. Tehseen Poonawalla, a wise man, once said, "Satya parishan ho sakta hai, par parajit nahi." सत्य को परेशान करने की कोशिश क्यों की जा रही है? Why is there repeatedly an attempt to try and erect roadblocks only in the way of a legal process?
Good evening, Padmaja. Welcome back to the studios. I know you've been back for a couple of days, and wish you good health. And good evening to all my fellow panelists and to all the viewers. A wise man also once said that if you put a clown in a presidential or prime ministerial palace, he does not convert the palace or become presidential. He converts it into a circus. So that's exactly what's happening in our country. Somebody from BJP says that it was on their ancestral land where Taj Mahal stood. Somebody else says that that the Qutub Minar in Delhi is something else. Now you have these people who say that the mosque was actually a temple, and all that we are doing is that we want to spread hate because we want to take away from the important questions that face 2022 India. But let me come to a hypothetical situation and something that you raised which is very valid.
Let me just interject at this point to say very, very specifically that for somebody to go to court, you cannot be called a joker simply because you're going to court and you're saying, excuse me, I think this is my property, I deserve my right to practice my religion, and then you're like, what a joker. Why do they want a right to practice their religion? Why?
Absolutely, that's a very valid question. I'll answer that first before I come to the substance of what I was saying. By the same logic, in your introduction, you said that they've been going to court day after day, the Muslims, to try and delay the process. So it's their constitutional right as well. So why is one side right to go to court?
No, it is their constitutional right, but I will tell you why it's a delaying process, because the very issue that is being raised now has already been addressed by the Allahabad High Court. For example, now you have a court surveyor, a commissioner appointed by the court, who is now being called bias. For what, Joy? How are you attributing bias to this man who's been appointed by the court to do a job, except to keep raising bogies and saying, now we have a problem with this, now we have a problem with that, just let the survey happen.
But then let them go to court. They have a right to raise whatever points they want. And what you call bogey, I call bogey, is a BJP MP or ex-MP saying that her parents owned the Taj Mahal and somebody is saying that they own Qutub Minar.
Why are they shifting goalposts, Tehseen Poonawalla? I am asking you specifically on the issue of Gyanvapi Masjid. On what basis are petitioners going to court saying the court commissioner is biased? On what basis?
They'll present that in court. If I put it out right now on TV, then it'll be difficult to appeal if the judgment does.
Except I will give you the facts on this. No, wait a second. Now that we brought it up, it has been so let me give you the facts on this, sir. Let me give you the facts on this. The facts of the matter are, and why I called it a bogey is because this very issue was raised before the Allahabad High Court. In its judgment of April 21st, 2022, here is what the Allahabad High Court said. And I quote from it, the Allahabad High Court said, the object of this local investigation is not so much to collect evidence which can be taken in court, but to obtain evidence which from its very peculiar nature can only be had from the spot. Talking about the commissioner's bias, they said, the other objection which has been raised is that the advocate commissioner cannot be chosen by the plaintiff. This is not well founded. A perusal of the impugned order from 8th of April 2022 shows that the learned trial judge has taken note of the fact that 2 advocate commissioners earlier appointed from the list had not discharged the commission. There is no reason for the petitioner to cry foul about the aforesaid choice. Quite apart, the report submitted by the Advocate Commissioner is only a piece of evidence and open to dispute by the defendant petitioner.
Correct.
This is what the Allahabad High Court said, that what you are imputing motives is completely false. Hence, delaying tactic.
Okay, now I'll reply that in 2 separate issues. So this is the judgment of the Honorable Allahabad High Court. I respect it, but I have a right to challenge it, which I am. But let me come to a larger issue. The insecurity.
Stick to the specific issue. Because when you go to these larger issues, facts are ignored in the interest of whataboutery. Stick to the specific issue. Why are you delaying on the issue of commissioner? Let him conduct the survey.
Will not let him conduct the survey.
Why?
Will not let him conduct. Please allow me to finish. But I'm specifically on the issue. Allow me to complete. Allow me to talk.
On the specific issue, yes.
On the specific issue.
Yes.
There are 2 specific issues. One, when I say I'm talking about the petitioners can challenge this in court. Sorry, the defendants can challenge this in court, in a higher court or in another court. That is their legal right, constitutional right. But let me put in perspective 2 issues in front of your viewers. In the case of this particular temple mosque dispute, even if we were to assume that there was hypothetically a temple that was broken down, years and years and years, 3 centuries
There's a visual evidence. There is visual evidence that has been produced in court.
So you are not a judge and you have accepted it over the temple?
I'm not judging. I'm saying let the court judge. But for that you have to allow the survey.
So one second, so allow me to finish. Let's hypothetically agree. I'm going one step ahead. That there was a temple there demolished 3 centuries ago before our constitution came. Okay, let's hypothetically agree. So now what are we going to do when the constitution of India has come? We are now going to demolish every single archaeological structure, protected monument, mosque or other religious structures because something happened 3 centuries before we got our constitution, because there is a POW Act, a Places of Worship Act in place that says you cannot do it. Now you will say,
which is separately being challenged. Which is separately being challenged. So let me. So okay, first of all, just a second. No, I won't give you one line because we go into this whataboutery. To this, I will say only 2 things. First of all, the Places of Worship Act is separately challenged. That in no way stops from this survey happening. And third, as far as your argument is concerned, Tehseen Poonawalla, that something happened hundreds of years ago. What are you going to achieve? So if you have an ancestral property that I encroached on 100 years ago, then I will say, why do you want it back? I'm sitting on it. No, let me keep sitting on it. What are you going to achieve? I'm going to keep sitting on your house. That is hardly a legal argument.
Can I reply?
People have the right to go to
court. Can I reply legally to that? Thank you. That's a very good point you put out. Except if I was encroaching on your ancestral property or you are on mine, there is no Places of Worship Act that prevents me from going to try.
Which is separately challenged. Which is separately challenged. And on the issue, no, I will not go down the Places of Worship Act road. I will tell you why. I will tell you why. Because this case is independent of the Places of Worship Act. Places of Worship Act is about changing the character of a place of worship. This is about surveying it. Period. But you have to allow the survey that has been ordered by the court. I'll be saying, question that will be asked to you is, what will you achieve? Why do you want a survey? Let sleeping dogs lie. Secularism demands peace, harmony, Ganga, Jamuni, Tehzeeb. RP Singh.
Padmaja, I hope I will not be interrupted by the co-panelist. See, it's a very simple thing which you are saying, that why can't survey happen? He says we'll go to higher court. Go to higher court, get a stay order till the time the order of the court will be implemented, of the lower court. Till the time you get a stay order or order otherwise. The problem, Padmaja, is that people like Tehseen Poonawalla, it was not only temples which were demolished. It was the religious practices of people like Tehseen Poonawalla which was also demolished. And Aurangzeb used to have his breakfast after weighing 50 kg of Janeus every day.
What?
So they have problem with that. I'm saying very straightforward one thing. That is that if they have anything to say, let them go to court, get a stay from court. Till that time they can't object to it, neither they can try to use direct tactics. And Congress is openly doing it as they did in Ram Janmabhoomi case. Kapil Sibal did it in the court. Now people like Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Manish Tiwari, Tehseen Poonawalla, they are trying to create hurdles from what can be done as per the court order. And then what is it? Simply trying to know what is inside the mosque. Are there statues? Are there idols? Are there other symbols of worship? What's wrong in it?
Okay, what's wrong in it? Mujeeb Ur Rehman.
It's not that changing the status quo of the masjid.
What is wrong? Tehseen Poonawalla. Okay, respond. What is wrong, Tehseen Poonawalla? Just to determine what is this lotus doing here? What is this Shankh doing here? Nandi Bail ka yahan pe kyun statue hai? Tehseen Poonawalla.
The insecurity in this country is only for one reason, that this was the most shameless state government of Uttar Pradesh under Kalyan Singh that gave into Supreme Court on affidavit that the Babri Masjid Ram Janmabhoomi dispute, that structure will not be disputed. The Chief Minister went to jail in contempt of court. So they lie. Here on your TV channel, he's lying about some WhatsApp
that still does not mean insecure. You might be insecure, but you cannot block the process of law. You cannot block the process of law.
You can challenge it in a high court.
But you cannot physically block it. It is being blocked physically. It is being blocked physically. Today, by the way, sir, today you will be shocked to know that today inside court, there was a ruckus created in the middle of the hearing, because of which the hearing had to be stopped for a while. There was a ruckus created. This is the physical. This is the physical blocking. Okay. Anurag Bhadoria. Before I come to you, Mr. Mujeeb Ur Rehman, Anurag Bhadoria, simple बात बताइए कि वहाँ पर अगर आपको नंदी बैल दिख रहे हैं, तो सर्वे कराने में क्या हर्ज है? क्यों रोका जा रहा है सर्वे?
पद्मजा जी, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के पास कोई मुद्दा नहीं बचा है। अब वो इस तरह के मुद्दों की बात करके, मैंने पहले ही बोल दिया है कि समाजवादी पार्टी और समाजवादी पार्टी नहीं, इस हिंदुस्तान के अंदर में हर व्यक्ति देश के संविधान और न्यायपालिका का सम्मान करता है। अगर संविधान और न्यायपालिका का कोई सम्मान नहीं करता है तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के उत्तर प्रदेश के नेता क्या कह रहे हैं कि अगर नहीं सुनेंगे तो 52 में जो घटना हुई थी 92 में 2022 में उस तरह की घटना हो जाएगी। मतलब आप न्यायपालिका को चैलेंज कर रहे हो, आप न्यायपालिका का सम्मान नहीं कर रहे हो।
बीजेपी को छोड़ दीजिए, आप बीजेपी को छोड़ दीजिए। मैं कह रही हूँ कि बीजेपी कुछ ना करे इस मुद्दे पे। पांच महिलाएं गई है ना, 5 महिलाएं गई हैं। आज आप ये बताइए कि क्या समाजवादी पार्टी उन 5 महिलाओं के साथ खड़ी है जो कि कहती है?
मैं अपनी बात कह लूं?
नहीं, मेरा सवाल बहुत सीधा है ना, मेरा सवाल पे आप गोल गोल मत घुमाइए, आप जलेबी मत बनाइए।
समझदार हूं कि मैं आपका सवाल जल्दी समझ जाता हूं।
हाँ, नहीं, आप मेरे से पूछे बिना कैसे सवाल समझ गए?
ले लीजिए,
आप तो ब्रह्मा बन गए, मेरे पूछे बिना सवाल समझ गए। आप सुनिए ना अनुराग जी, आप सुनिए अनुराग जी, मेरा सवाल ये है कि 5 महिलाएं हैं, 5 महिलाएं हैं, उनमें से 4 आपके राज्य में रहती हैं। उन 5 महिलाओं का सिर्फ इतना सा प्रेयर है कि क्या समाजवादी पार्टी हमें हक दिलाएगी रोज श्रृंगार गौरी की पूजा करने का? हम रोज श्रृंगार गौरी की पूजा करना चाहते हैं, क्या समाजवादी पार्टी उन महिलाओं के साथ खड़ी है? हाँ या
अरे पद्मजा जी, एक सवाल को 20 बार पूछते हो आप, समझदार एंकर आप क्यों 20 बार पूछते हो? मैंने सुन लिया, मुझे बोलने तो दीजिए, मुझे टाइम दीजिए, मैं अपनी बात कह लूं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी बेसिकली संविधान और न्यायपालिका में विश्वास कम रखती है। अगर ये न्यायपालिका विश्वास में कम नहीं अगर रखती तो शायद भारतीय जनता पार्टी, न्यायपालिका अगर कहती है उत्तर प्रदेश में कि वहां पे ज्ञानव्यापी पे सर्वे होगा तो सर्वे होगा, कौन रोक लेगा? लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी सर्वे कराना नहीं चाहती, माहौल बनाना चाहती।
अरे सर, मुजीब उर रहमान साहब के जो दोस्त हैं वो रोक रहे हैं ना,
बोलने तो दीजिए।
मुजीब उर रहमान साहब के जो दोस्त हैं वो रोक रहे हैं।
अरे आप मैं उठ जाऊं पद्मजा जी, अगर नहीं बोलने देना है तो मैं उठ जाता हूं।
अरे साहब कमाल है,
टाइम दे के आया हूं,
मैं नाम पूछती हूँ, आप पता बताते हैं, फिर आप धमकाते हैं कि मैं उठ जाऊंगा।
आपको नमस्कार है भाई, आप
बोलिए। चलिए, ओके। अनुराग भदौरिया very typically has now walked away, so let me again try and get an answer from you, Mr. Mujeeb Ur Rehman. Why block a survey? Nobody is saying it's a temple, nobody is saying it's a mosque. All people are saying is, can we find out why block a survey?
No, firstly, under which provision of the law the survey has been ordered? Obviously on the petition, and under which provision of the law that petition can be entertained by a court. I agree that the places of worship may be challenged, but still it's the law of the land, and even court must respect it. And we are surely go to the higher courts, even the Supreme Court, to close this matter forever and the similar matters, because a court cannot start an unlawful proceedings. These are unlawful proceedings.
How is
because
it
they are very against the tenets of the law.
Are you saying that the Allahabad High Court has given an unlawful order?
Because it's against the law.
But it is on the order of a court.
That's why, yes, that's why we are going to Supreme Court.
So you are saying that the Allahabad High Court has given an unlawful judgment. You are an officer of the court, sir. And you are saying that the Allahabad High Court has given an unlawful judgment.
It's not about Allahabad, it's about the trial court.
No,
so, yeah,
no. This has been upheld, sir.
It's a judgment
this has been upheld by the Allahabad High Court. And the Allahabad High Court not only has struck down the objection about the partiality of the court commissioner, it has specifically said. Now let me quote to you, sir. I am not talking
about partiality or impartiality. I am talking about unlawful proceedings. I'm talking about unlawful proceedings.
How can
which provisions proceedings are going on?
Under order of the court.
Under which provision?
Under order of the court.
Which provisions such
under order of the court.
There should be a provision. There should be a provision.
Vinod Bansal. Okay. So basically, okay. तो यहाँ पे मुजीब उर रहमान साहब कह रहे हैं कि कोर्ट ने कैसे ऑर्डर कर दिया? कोर्ट ने कैसे ऑर्डर कर दिया? विनोद बंसल।
देखिए, बात मुजीब उर रहमान की हो, देखिए बात चाहे मुजीब उर रहमान की हो या कांग्रेस की हो, ये एक बात तो बड़ा क्लियर हो गई कि इन दोनों में से किसी का कोर्ट में कोई विश्वास नहीं है। जिस प्रकार से अपने कांग्रेस ने राम जन्मभूमि के मामले को लटकाया भटकाया अटकाया और यहाँ तक कि माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के मुख्य न्यायाधीश को धमकी तक दे दी, और अब जो है ये जो इस्लामिक जिहादियों के रिश्तेदार हैं वो भी कह रहे हैं अरे भाई कौन सा प्रोविजन है तो कोर्ट बताएगा ना।
विनोद जी ऐसी चीजें मत बोलिए।
बड़े हुए क्या?
नो पर्सनल कमेंट्स, नो पर्सनल।
आप संघियों के रिश्तेदार हैं क्या?
नहीं, मैंने क्या बोला?
संघियों के गुलाम आप हिंदुस्तान में रह गए।
आपने गलत समझा।
संघियों के गुलाम।
विनोद जी ये सही नहीं है। देखिए, आप कुछ बोलेंगे फिर वो बोलेंगे, फिर हम तू मैं चले जाएंगे। फैक्ट्स पे बात करते हैं। मुजीब उर रहमान साहब खुद वकील हैं, आपसे पूछ रहे हैं कोर्ट ने कैसे ऑर्डर कर दिया?
फैक्ट पे बात कर रहा हूं।
हाँ बोलिए, फैक्चुअल। यस,
नहीं, मैं कहता हूं जब ये वकील हैं तो उनको पता होना चाहिए ना, कम से कम कोर्ट की मर्यादा भी तो होती है। कोर्ट ने कोई वर्डिक्ट दिया है तो कोई नियम के तहत दिया होगा ना जी, कोई कानून के तहत दिया होगा। ये एक तरफ तो वकील है, दूसरी तरफ न्यायालय का अवहेलना करते हैं, ये कैसे वकील है? इनके खिलाफ तो अवहेलना की कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। और दूसरी तरफ आप देखिए दूसरे भी वकील हैं जो कांग्रेस की तरफ में बैठे हैं, वो भी वकील हैं। आप देखिए दोनों की दोनों ये जानते हुए मानने को तैयार नहीं है कि आखिरकार लॉ क्या है, और लॉ के तहत अगर एक जज ने कोई निर्णय दिया है उस निर्णय को पालन नहीं करने देंगे। देखिए मैं चुपचाप जाके सुन रहा था पद्मजा, ये
अपनी बात है मुजीब साहब, एक मिनट का वक्त दीजिए।
मैं एक डिस्टर्बिंग जगह पे बैठा हुआ मैं।
हाँ बोलिए
मैं देखिए मैं एक डिस्टर्बिंग जगह पे बैठा हूं और इसके बावजूद भी बोलने का मौका नहीं दे रहा। मैं ये कह रहा हूं, देखिए ये दोनों की दोनों वकील हैं, मैं तो वकील नहीं हूं, लेकिन मैं एक लेमैन होने के नाते मैं ये इस बात को जानता हूं कि अगर कोई कोर्ट ने वर्डिक्ट दिया है, कोर्ट ने कोई ऑर्डर दिया है तो कहीं ना कहीं न्याय संगति दिया होगा ना जी, कोई कानून के तहत ही दिया होगा ना जी। ये काला कोट पहन के जाते हैं और न्यायालय की अवहेलना करते हैं, कमाल की बात है। और कांग्रेस का चाल चरित्र चरा तो सबको पता है, रामनवमी वाले मामले में किस तरह से सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज को भी धमकाया, धकेया और गले आया, और उसके बाद में अल्टीमेटली जो सीजेआई के ऊपर महाभियोग तक लगा दिया। तो इसलिए इनको कुछ कहने की आवश्यकता नहीं है।
Mr. Mujeeb Ur Rehman, you know, because you're such a senior lawyer, I refuse to believe that you don't know this already. But let me actually read out to you. क्योंकि आपने पूछा कि how could the court order a survey, Mr. Rehman? I'm sure you've read this judgment. I have also read this judgment. I'm sure you've read the judgment. But for your benefit and that of the viewer, let me tell you, because the court has very clearly said under what provision they have ordered a survey. Now here is what the court said, and I quote from the judgment. A commission, I'm telling you sir, I'm quoting. I'm telling you provisions. I'm telling you, let me speak. Okay, please silence. A commission for local inspection can well be issued to collect evidence. It can be taken by its very nature on the spot. Reference in this connection may be made to the decision of the Madras High Court in Re P. Musa Kutti, 1953, where it has been held. Here is the provision. It has been held. The object of this local investigation is not so much to collect evidence which can be taken in court, but to obtain evidence which from its very peculiar nature can only be had on the spot. The court has a discretion to order local investigation or not. It is not bound to order it in all cases. Then the court goes on to say, the existence or non-existence of the deities in the property in dispute is a matter about which the parties under the circumstances can hardly produce evidence. Even otherwise, it is evidence which is to be found on the spot where the disputed property exists and can be best gathered thereof. जहां पे डिस्प्यूट है वहीं पे एविडेंस है मुजीब साहब, वहां सर्वे करवाना पड़ेगा। इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट ने ये बोला है, एंड इट कम्स फ्रॉम द जजमेंट ऑफ द मद्रास हाई कोर्ट इन रिलेशन टू P. Musa Kutti. That is the provision.
According to the Limitation Act 1963, as per the Limitation Act 1963, there is a bar of 12 years to raise any dispute. Only 12 years. Within 12 years,
but
you
sir,
can raise any dispute.
Sir, you have a problem. You go to court. You go to court. You cannot say, ये judgment हमें अच्छा नहीं लगा, cancel. ये judgment हमें अच्छा लगा, good. ये जजमेंट हम अपोज करेंगे, जजमेंट आ गया हम रोक देंगे।
We will close this matter forever and other matters like this.
अभी तक दादागिरी से जजमेंट पास कराते आ रहे थे
other matters.
सर सर्वे तो होने दीजिए, सर्वे तो होने दीजिए। I have a simple question. Why? अरे because if there is a lotus flower there, somebody needs to find out how did a lotus reach a mosque?
So what? Under which provision?
Under which provision is a Nandi bell inside a mosque?
Petition of possession or depossession.
Sir, I cannot decide it. I cannot decide it. You cannot decide it. The court has to decide it, and the survey has to take place.
You know, in Aurangabad, Maharashtra, there is a murti in the mosque.
Well, sir, don't give ideas. Sena is in power there. If there is a murti in a mosque in Aurangabad, I don't know what to say to it. Somebody from MNS might be watching. I don't know what to say about that.
into
But on a
the
serious
temple.
note, Tehseen
You have to
Poonawalla,
go to the court
this cannot
only
be
within
decided
12
by
years
me,
of limitation.
this cannot be decided by you, and this definitely cannot be decided by Mr. Mujeeb Ur Rehman. This will be decided by court. But before that, somebody has to do a survey. Even if they do a survey and say, "Bakwas argument hai aapki, this is a mosque and it will remain a mosque." But let the survey happen.
No, it won't. There
Why?
are 3 points I'm coming to that, but there are 3 points I'm going to make to explain why they're children. Way the survey will happen when the defendants, the respondents, complete all legal options, and if the Honorable Supreme Court rules and there's no further, fine, go ahead with it. Till then, let them go there, let them take their legal right. Now, you may say that they are wasting time. In my opinion, and I'm looking at it from another lens, since there's a Places of Worship Act, which is also challenged by the same people who are interested in this Mandir Masjid dispute, I think they are wasting the country's time and they are challenging the act and they are using their legal right. So these two are independent. Let the respondents use their legal right. But there's a larger point that I want to come to, which is very, very important. The point that is happening is that there is no guarantee that whatever the findings are, whether it's true, false, whatever it is, will not be used to create further hate. Now, let's go back. That there was a lotus, there's a temple, there was a Nandi bell, and there was a temple there. So, I mean, this is limited by the statute of limitations. Do you have a Places of Worship Act? What are you going to do by creating hatred?
Here's the thing about the law. There is no guarantee that any law or any judgment will not be misused. The same was said for the anti-dowry law also. There is no guarantee that it won't be misused. Some would say it is being rampantly misused, but that shouldn't stop your access to the law. Similarly, this shouldn't stop the implementation of a court's order, because it is well within the rights of the people, even if you might consider it wastage of time, to seek legal recourse. The courts will decide, the courts should decide. Let's see what the courts decide tomorrow. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for joining me on Debate One.